Hey Nick, Dave Ritter. Just want to give you a quick overview of what my thesis idea is. And let's see here. I'm using ScreenFlow, and usually I do things in PowerPoint or Keynote, but I chose to use Prezi today. So we'll see how that works. So I'll go full screen. So essentially the thesis is centered around the flipped classroom model. And these two guys right here, Aaron Sams and Jonathan Bergman, um, they're from Colorado. Um, they started early on, maybe in the 80s, I believe, mid 80s, somewhere in there, 90s. They had students that were missing class, and so they videotaped the classroom, and then they put them up on their server at the time. Now they do everything off of YouTube. But anyway, they started doing these videos, and pretty soon they noticed that they had these collection of videos, and the collaborative nature between the two, they were able to create some very nice videos. And so what happened is that instead of giving a lecture, they decided to have these students look at these videos. They're about 8 to 10 minutes long, and had them look at them home, and then come back to school next day and have a discussion. And so that was kind of like the nature of it. And so they were trying to figure out what to call it, and they noticed that it was a flipped classroom. Well, what does a flipped classroom mean? You probably have already researched this, but we have the traditional model where students come to a lecture, or a semblance of a lecture, and they do the sample problems with the teacher. Usually they're fairly simple, and then they go home after school, do their homework, and have some really difficult problems. Well, the same was for science, as in math. They noticed that by doing things in a different direction, or in a flipped direction, or an inverted direction, that they were noticing increases in student achievement. So they had this active learning type model where students would come in, deal with a problem of the day of sorts, and then they go home and get ready for the next day's lecture and do some technology. Their delivery method is primarily video. So they were having great success. What's nice about that is that they noticed that the students, in their interactions with the teacher, would tell them, hey, I was on Facebook with so-and-so, and we were able to talk about this problem or talk about the video, and that would come up in the discussion in the classroom. So rich content discussions were happening due to this flipped concept. So here's kind of like a flow of of the model. And so essentially you have this kind of like learning activity or dynamic activity, and whether it be a video or something in class, you'd have an activity built around what the students had watched and based upon the discussion. So essentially this whole model is kind of technology driven, or it's a hands-on type of scenario. So this model, this flow kind of follows Paul Anderson, AP science teacher here. So he's doing things with students in the classroom. He has the videos. His primary delivery is videos. Students go home, watch the 8-minute video. They come back to school next day. They work with virtual simulators on the iPad. They also have this game component that is not kind of like what the other teachers do. So that's kind of new in this thing, and what he's noticing that kind of helps with, it's a motivating type of tool. It helps them keep going. He has it set up as in modules or levels, so in order to get through, you have to complete all the activities and then take the quiz and then the associated final summative assessment to move on to the next level. And in order to get to the summative assessment, you have to at least achieve 80%. So you have to be proficient in order to move on. So it's a motivator to get proficient for sure, and all of this stuff is living on the Moodle server. So all of his associated PDFs and quizzes and all the other information. Students access it off the Moodle server. They can access it at home and they can access it at school. So by doing all of this stuff, they meet for about 15 minutes of the class time and have a discussion about last night's video, things students are stuck on, simulator questions or what have you. And Paul is noticing that he's actually teaching more. Like, I think we have this idea of teaching as we go up in front of the room and we do this and we walk around the room, we help when we can and be this like mentor. But he's noticing that he's actually teaching more, meaning like getting into the content, having these discussions with students. But anyway, so these discussions really lead to a rich learning environment. So what does that mean? Right now it doesn't mean anything because there's no research to substantiate whether or not student achievement is either lowered or increased by doing this type of model. There's lots of people doing it. There's lots of empirical findings. However, there's no definitive research out there. Now, I have found stuff on the blended model, which is slightly similar, but it's not of the flip type. So it's just classroom instruction infused with technology. So for my research project, I'm going to have, for my thesis, I'm going to have access to literature. I'm going to create, I work in, I like Google Chrome, but it doesn't always work with videos, etc. Plus, it doesn't have Zotero. It has Mendeley, but not Zotero. Zotero's way better. Anyway, for documenting your research, you can pull in data. I have a little blurb here I could do, but in the interest of time, I'm sure you can look it up, or you may even use it. But anyway, so I'm going to share my my literature out there and see if I can get more people maybe collaborating. Anyway, so and the final thing here is that I want to give an example of what the game element is like. And so the game is kind of like a thread of an idea or a concept that runs through the whole course. And so students have, like in this example, they have a puzzle to solve. And so we have here Babe Hithertwit. And this thing might be an anagram. Might be. So I'll give you some clues. So Babe Hithertwit is a particular character in Alice in Wonderland. And so you need to solve this anagram. And so I give you some clues that this particular anagram solver that I give you in the link here, you need to do some certain settings. And so it says you need to set the first leading character to T, and then it's 3 words. And then you need to put those 3 words in a certain order. This right here. So and then we'll click this thing. Oh, by the way, this thing is called. You can write on your screen. It's free. It's called Omnidazzle. It works with Mac. It's very nice. So I'm gonna get out of that. Okay, and I'm gonna click this link. And so here we go. We're at Andy's anagram solver. And so I want to go right here to more options. I guess I could have stayed in there. I need to set this thing right here, this leading character, to T, and then I need to put in Babe Hithertwit. So Babe Hithertwit. And then I want to go do it. Looks like I entered it wrong. So Babe Hithertwit. I don't want to. It was working fine just till now. Oh, I forgot to set my words to 3. Alright, let's go do it. There we go. Alright, somewhere on here is the answer. And so what you'll do is when you find the answer, and it's a character in Alice in Wonderland, you'll go up here and you'll type in bit.ly slash the underscore and then the other two words. And so then you'll go there and you click and you'll see pretty much Paul's introductory video to the class explaining Biohazard 5 and kind of getting their feet wet in the course. So there you have it. Looking forward to talking to you at noon.